So in regards to the video that I posted about the undertow and how you can consciously be aware of something, but yet there still might be snippets and discrepancies when the manifestation plays out in the 3D, I spoke of the undertone of that conscious affirmation or awareness. Okay, so the subconscious mind, sub meaning under, is more massive than the conscious mind. Okay, so you want to think of the subconscious as the Google search history, and it is storing everything that you have ever typed in there. So you can type in one command and you might see results for your previous commands mixed in with that one command that you type at the present moment, and that is simply because the subconscious, as it is a computer, it's a computer of the mind, it is trying to allocate things that it senses that you might like to see based off of your previous algorithm. So if your previous algorithm has been full of shit, then likely that is going to continue to play out in your 3D, or you might get bits and pieces of what you want, and then you might still get bits and pieces of the previous search history. So how you can tell, okay, what the undertone is, because this is in response to some of the comments that I got in that video. Here's how you can tell what the undertone is. So let's say you're manifesting a relationship, and obviously you're not manifesting a relationship. The relationship is already done, but you're manifesting yourself as being a version of you who is having the experience of being in that relationship. Okay, cool. So you are saying I'm with this person, or I'm with my dream partner, or whatever the case. So you're saying that, and you meet someone, and you meet this individual, and they show up on paper in the 3D as your dream partner. Okay, so they're showing up perfectly, everything that you specified, but then you start to have a nagging thought. Okay, and that nagging thought is likely, because y'all asked, how can you tell? That nagging thought is not going to likely first surface as a thought, because remember, the subconscious mind doesn't go by the direct command, only the conscious mind does. The subconscious mind is going to give you a sensation of an emotion. Okay, now you manifest this person consciously, they show up, they're perfect on paper, but then you start getting a little feeling here, right? Like, this is too good to be true. And you don't really articulate it, but something is off, right? Because you're not in alignment. And you can tell when you're not in alignment when you're thinking a certain way, but you're kind of processing on a subterranean level that this is not what it is, okay? There's a mismatch. So you have the conscious awareness, wow, I manifested my dream partner, everything is perfect, but it's going to process likely as hollow, okay? So if you want to think of something that you know with conviction, you are in pure alignment with, I always give the example, look down, tell me what color shirt you're wearing. If you're not wearing a fucking shirt, if you're not even wearing fucking drawers, then you're gonna say, why are you wearing nothing, right? But the point is, you're going to be able to say what color shirt you're wearing, or if you're wearing anything at all. There's not going to be a contradiction in what you are mentally processing and consciously thinking compared to the way that it processes in your vessel. If you were to look down and you're wearing a green shirt, but you say that the shirt is blue, there's going to be, and this might be different for everyone, but it's not going to register as like a smooth hit, okay? It's not going to be in alignment, because that part of you is like, wait, well, I'm not wearing this color shirt, I'm wearing that color shirt, right? So it's kind of like you're lying to yourself, okay? So that is the difference. And I can't explain it, because remember, the subconscious, it doesn't communicate in words, it communicates in sensations. So however it processes to you is going to be different than it processes for person A or Z or whoever the fuck, okay? It's going to process to you, though, as that there is something off, there is something amiss, that's not the pure alignment, because your conscious and your subconscious are not fully on board with it. Because the difference is, what's your name? What color shirt are you wearing? And you answer correctly, what shirt you're wearing right now, it's just going to be smooth. And you can try this for different things, and you can kind of do little science experiments with how it processes uniquely to you, because then you can get a better grasp when you are consciously aware that you are manifesting a particular timeline, but then it resonates as different. Your subconscious mind, it's going to process in a sensation in your vessel that feels off, okay? It might not feel bad, it might not feel constricted, but it's going, like, your body is not going to accept it, okay? And I don't know how to fucking explain it better than that, because like I said, it's different for everyone, and because it doesn't articulate itself in the form of a thought or a word, it's just going to be something that expresses itself, but it's not going to be in alignment the way that I ask you something, and for certain you know what that is. So the undertone, if you are manifesting a relationship and the individual shows up as perfect because you consciously typed in the search command, but the subconscious has stored all of that previous information, men ain't shit, women ain't shit, these type of people that I date ain't shit, whoever the fuck, all of your dating history essentially is going to come up in that fucking search results. And you might have an interesting dating history, okay? It's just, you know, it's interesting, but it might not be in alignment with what you want right now that you're consciously aware of. And so that dating history is going to be the undertone compared to what you were consciously saying. So you're like, I want someone who looks like Mufasa from Lion King, and they have a big mane, and they have 4 paws, and they got a tail, and they a brawling ass fucking lion motherfucker. That's who you want, right? So consciously, then Mufasa appears, and Mufasa's there, but then you're hanging out with Mufasa, you're dealing with him, okay? And obviously put this in the context of whoever the fuck you're interested in, and whoever the fuck shows up. Okay? Mufasa shows up, and consciously you're like, oh shit, wow, I did it. Like, I manifested Mufasa, and Mufasa showed up, and he's here, he king of the jungle, and whatever the fuck, okay? But the undertone is not going to process in your body. There's going to be something off. And how it processes is not going to be in agreement with what your conscious mind is saying. Because your conscious mind is saying, yo, we did it, Mufasa's here. But if the undertone is not on board with it, then it's going to process as strange, okay? It might feel bad, it might feel constricted, it might feel hollow, it might feel like it's too good to be true. It's not going to feel solid, okay? So your vessel is not processing the information the way that your mind is processing it. And that's how you can tell the undertone, because it's always going to be present. And that off feeling, that off sensation is going to be present whenever you are dealing with Mufasa. So Mufasa shows up and Mufasa bought you a Lamborghini. Mufasa bought you 6 dozen roses every day. Mufasa's doing the most, okay? Mufasa's into you, but your vessel is processing the undertone differently. And you might not be able to consciously articulate it at first because it's always going on. But remember, as I said, the subconscious does not operate in words the way the conscious does. So you're just going to be having that weird sensation in your vessel. It's going to be like it might be a feeling of dread, it might be a feeling of desolation, it might be a feeling of anxiety, okay? It's going to process as something that is off, okay? And again, it's different for everyone, so be aware of what you're consciously thinking compared to what your body is telling you, okay? And that's how you can tell, first and foremost. Number one, so Mufasa's doing the most in the 3D. He's showing up all perfect for you, just like you intended, but it's not processing away, oh, what color shirt are you wearing? Oh, I'm wearing black. Okay, cool. It's not going to process like that, okay? And this is what they say in that Bible verse, when two are in agreement on earth or some shit like that. What they mean by two are in agreement on earth is your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. They are in agreement, and that's what makes the manifestation fast. That's what makes the manifestation stick, because you know it, and something that is known to you cannot be taken from you, okay? Because consciously, if you're thinking something, and subconsciously there's the undertone going on and they are conflicting, there's no solid foundation, right? Because you're not in alignment with it, and because the subconscious mind is so much more massive compared to the conscious mind, you are likely going to get caught in that undertow if you don't address it. So the first thing to note is if something feels off, okay? We're not looking at the 3D. It might not be something in the 3D that is off because Mufasa is showing up perfectly. So then you want to think the undertone is constantly going on. You could be right next to Mufasa. Mufasa could be at work. Mufasa could be at the gym. You could be at work. You could be at the gym. You could be fucking Mufasa, okay? No matter what is happening in the 3D, it's going to be different, right? Because either you fucking, you kissing, you hugging, you get into a shout match. It don't fucking matter, really, because the 3D is constantly changing. You could feel, oh, great, I talked to Mufasa today. Oh, I'm excited. I'm going to see Mufasa tomorrow. But underneath that, it's going to be more constant. That's how you could tell. Number two. Number one, it's going to be off. Number two, it's going to be constant no matter what the fucking 3D is showing to you, okay? Because remember, this is manifestation. The 3D could show you fucking anything, and it doesn't matter. What matters what's going on with your alignment. This means that you are not aligned with the 3D, and if you're not aligned with it and you're computing it as there's something off, you're still the one computing it as something is off. So then the 3D has to change because you're not in alignment with it. Just like if I were to say, what color shirt are you wearing, and you're wearing a pink shirt, but you tell me it's purple, it's going to process as different than if you were to tell me that you're wearing a pink shirt, okay? It's all about what you're in alignment with. It's going to be constant, and you're going to notice, like, okay, like Mufasa's showing up great. Now Mufasa went to the gym. Now Mufasa is introducing me to the family. Now me and Mufasa, whatever the fuck it is, okay? All of those things are variables. They're changing, but the undertone is the same because it's been that browser history that it has stored for who knows what length of time, okay? It's just there and it's fucking massive. So it's going to be a constant sensation that seems like it contradicts what is happening in the 3D. Those are the two characteristics, how you can sense what the undertone is. For number three, how to articulate the undertone so that you can override it. You are chilling with Mufasa, you have this weird undertone going on, but remember, it's not even about Mufasa, okay? Because Mufasa has no free will. Mufasa just showed up, and Mufasa is just, doing what you expect Mufasa to do. So if you don't address what the undertone is, especially if the undertone is unfavorable, then Mufasa is going to likely to start to behave based off of that undertone. Like I said in my original video, you're not going to expect necessarily how shit hits the fan with Mufasa because the subconscious doesn't communicate in words. So how could you have predicted, right? It communicates in tones. So if the tone is something's off, my dude, that can mean a whole bunch of shit. It can mean anything. So then something happens and Mufasa, there's like a snafu, there's like a hiccup in the 3D with Mufasa, and you're like, oh shit. And then, because something happens in the 3D and you are consciously aware of it because it's in front of your fucking face, you're like, I knew it. I knew this shit was gonna happen. Yeah, you knew it because you had the undertone going on the whole time that you were more in resonance with than you were in the conscious experience of what you wanted. So of course you fucking knew it because you had that going on the whole fucking time and it was constant. But because it was constant the whole time, that was also manifesting. And so when it finally happened, boom, you can articulate it. Maybe it wasn't exactly what you consciously expected, but something off happened. You're like, oh shit, see, I knew it. I knew I had to watch out for Mufasa because I knew they had to be up to something. I knew this was too good to be true. Whatever the fuck you telling yourself, right? So what was the off thing that happened? What was it? Because that's going to help you to identify what the story is. So if the off thing that happened has something to do with Mufasa becoming distant, if the off thing has to do with Mufasa all of a sudden has a business trip, if the off thing has to do with Mufasa, you saw some picture that you don't want, right? What is that off thing that occurred? Because then you can kind of see, because now you have like a visual to a certain extent of what the subconscious undertone is, okay? So you and Mufasa, and this could be different for everyone, so I don't want to, these are just different variables, but obviously whatever applies to you. When you notice that first off thing and you see it in the 3D, that's how you can identify what it is. So Mufasa pulls back. Oh shit. Have you been in a relationship where someone pulled back before? Okay, maybe they pulled back in a weird way, but they moved 6,000 miles away. Maybe you never had that particular experience before, but it was the same situation where motherfucker was suddenly unavailable to you, okay? So now you're gonna go, have I had a situation where someone else was unavailable to me, that someone went distant, and then that's how you fucking put the pieces together, okay? And you're like, oh, so the undertone was perhaps that people leave, or you feel abandoned, or you feel like you can't trust someone, or you feel like someone's a fucking whore bag. Whatever the fucking situation was, you're going to say, when did something similar happen? And again, because the subconscious It might not be the exact same thing, but it's going to have a similar tone to it. So you look at Mufasa, oh shit, Mufasa moved 6,000 miles away, but Mufasa's still saying that they want to make it work. They're going to do long distance, you're going to video chat every night, whatever, and you still got that ick, okay? You still got that feeling. That's where you go and you compute and you say, okay, so maybe that particular situation didn't occur, okay, that exact situation, because remember, you can't really predict that. You can just predict the tone of it, and then when you get the 3D feedback, you're more accurately able to predict what that undertone was, and you're going to say, you know what? You were going out with Pumbaa before Mufasa, and Pumbaa, you know what? All of a sudden they ghosted you. Man. So it's not the same situation, right? You might not have been expecting or consciously predicting that Mufasa was going to move 6,000 miles away, but Pumbaa from 2 years ago ghosted you. There's a similarity. So people leave. Do you have an abandonment issue, right? Like, do you label motherfuckers that you date as avoidant attachment? You gotta stop doing that, by the way. But either way, you're gonna notice that, okay? And then if there was a relationship before Pumbaa, and then if there was a relationship before that, like, you're just gonna say, what is that? So then that pattern is the undertone. That's what it is, okay? But likely, because it's the undertone, and unless you have done this before in other areas of your life, the undertone, you might not be able to consciously identify until something in the 3D happens. Because remember, you're not consciously calculating what the undertone is. It's just a subcurrent going on underneath that, okay? In one of my videos on TikTok, I went through a whole fucking pictogram, and I said the fucking Kool-Aid was laced with absinthe, okay? So you sipping on the Kool-Aid, you don't know that it's laced with absinthe, and you sipping it, and then you wonder why the fuck you ass on the floor and can't get up. Because you didn't see that coming, because you weren't consciously aware that there was absinthe in the fucking Kool-Aid, okay? So it's like the same principle. So check out that video on my TikTok if you fucking want to, because I really go into detail here. But this is how you fucking look at it, okay? So likely the undertone is going to present itself to you when the first thing that you're like, aha, like light bulb going off above your head and shit. And then you're like consciously, you see, I knew they were going to do this shit. I knew that motherfucker. Mufasa was up to some shit. Yeah, okay, that's likely when you're going to be able to pinpoint what it is, unless, you've done this for other areas, or you're just, you're like intuitive with yourself, or you know what I mean? But likely if you have not had an experience like that before, of like this type of self-reflection, that is going to be when it hits, when that first, oh, yeah, because it's going to feel kind of like confirmation to that undertone, and in a way it's going to feel familiar. You're going to be like, oh, the fuck was that? But you fucking knew it, right? That's how it's going to feel. And remember, everyone processes fucking emotions differently, but it's going to feel a little bit familiar. It's going to feel like you knew it, but you couldn't pinpoint what the fuck you knew because it was the undertone. But now that situation played out, you have the wherewithal to take a gander back into your previous dating history or whatever fucking app the undertone is running in, because you can do this for all apps of your experience. You'd be like, oh, what is the common denominator? Okay, so maybe there's a trust issue, maybe there's an abandonment issue, maybe there's a general self-concept issue that things are too good to be true. Whatever the fuck it is, you identify it, and then you're going to make a conscious effort to not think that way anymore. And getting back to Mufasa, he moved 6,000 miles away, but if you successfully treat this undertone, you can still have that relationship with Mufasa. It doesn't mean that Mufasa is gone forever, okay? It just means that you caught it and you're like, now you have the awareness and you're like, okay, this came from me. So if it came from me and I realize that, I can fix it too. If you want to, okay? So some, it really depends on the individual, but if you want to fix it, it's fixable, okay? So how to fix it? In my recommendation, you make one affirmation. One, you don't need a million. You don't need to, like motherfuckers sometimes they write down 100 affirmations. I'm like, my dude, you okay? Are you okay? Because that's gonna drive any motherfucker crazy. In my opinion, that's too much effort. You don't need to fucking do that, okay? So you're gonna make one affirmation. So if the root undertone when you went back in the pattern, it's like that you label motherfuckers that you date as avoidant attachment, you're gonna say, I only attract healthy partnerships where my partner chooses me and prioritizes me in our relationship above all else. And if your ego tries to fight you on it, you're gonna say why. You're gonna frame it in the form of a question, because sometimes when it's framed in the form of a question, it's not a direct statement, so you're still getting the same message across. You're still typing in the same command, right? Because remember, the affirmation is the command and the thought is the command. It's just that you were typing in shit commands for such a long time in that particular sector of your experience that now it's like all the search history has that shit command laced into it. So how you do it is you reinforce the new fucking command. You reinforce it. That's the repetition, because for how long were you typing in motherfuckers are avoiding attachment, motherfuckers are avoiding attachment, however you're wording it, it's still the same tone, motherfuckers are avoiding attachment, whatever the fuck it is, okay? You're going to reinforce that command, and you're going to either phrase it as a statement or in the form of a question, and it's going to be one affirmation. You don't need to fucking drive yourself crazy memorizing a million affirmations, and you're going to say that to yourself as often as you can. And especially if Mufasa crosses your mind, you're going to not think negatively of Mufasa. Why Mufasa moved 6,000 miles away? Why? Oh, I don't even know why Mufasa wants to make it work and Mufasa moved 6,000 miles away. No, you're going to stop, okay? Because Mufasa, you're not going to skin Mufasa. You're not going to blame him because it came from you. You know what I mean? If you still want to deal with Mufasa, then you're going to understand your part in the situation, that you helped to influence the way Mufasa showed up for you, okay? So you're not going to think of Mufasa as the Mufasa that moved 6,000 miles away. When Mufasa comes up, you'll be like, I can always count on Mufasa to choose me and prioritize me in our relationship above all else. Mufasa never leaves my side. Mufasa loves me so much. You're going to think favorably of Mufasa, okay? When Mufasa comes to mind, you're going to think favorably. That's it. You don't think negatively of him. If a negative thought comes up, you're going to elevate it to the best possible phrase that you can say about him in that moment. If it doesn't stick, if your ego tries to fight you on it, you're going to type in something slightly different, okay? So Mufasa chooses me and prioritizes me above all else. If Mufasa crosses your mind, you say that. If it's too much, if your ego's going to try to fight you, you phrase that as a question. And if that's too much, then you're going to tone it down a little bit. You say, why does Mufasa love me so much? That's it. You don't have to say choose, prioritize. You just, as long as you're not thinking negatively about Mufasa and favoring it in the most favorable way that you possibly can come up with in a statement or a question that implies that Mufasa is performing favorably for you, that's all you need to do. But your goal, your homework, is to go in on the affirmation that is about your relationships and you not viewing relationships or people you date as avoidant attachment or whatever the case may be, or for whatever the app is. Your goal is to fix that root issue and keep typing that command, keep typing that command, keep typing that command, keep typing that command, okay? However you want to do it. You could listen to music and fucking dance around and fucking chant it, okay? You could say that in your mind silently. You could say it out loud. You could talk to your fucking dog and fucking say, I don't give a fuck, okay? As long as you keep that one phrase in mind that is the opposite of what that undertone was, and you say it to yourself as often as you fucking can when your mind is idle, that's what you're doing. You're typing the search command, typing the search command, typing the search command, right? And then pretty soon all the other cache history from the shit story that you kept typing in the search command is gonna disappear because you're just overriding the system with the new search command, and pretty soon it's just gonna dissolve. That's how you do it. And of course, you can always make the decision. And you can say, you know what, I recognize what that story was. I'm not that individual anymore. I am always being shown that I have healthy partnerships with everyone, blah, 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 blah. Okay, you can make the decision. As long as you don't think against it, you don't even need to repeat it that many times. But for a lot of individuals, this repetition is going to work. So you can decide in one moment, wipe the slate clean. Do you want to delete all browsing data? Yes? Okay. Are you sure? Yes. Boom. Okay. And only, again, this is personal to everyone, so that's why I'm giving you both options. If you're able to do that, you don't need to fucking say it a million times. You don't need to say it as long as you think about it. You don't need to wake up in the morning and say it. You don't need to say it to your dog. You don't need to do anything. You do it in one shot, but you'll know if you're able to do that. And again, it's just gonna be something that you process as a knowing. You're gonna be in alignment with that. Like, you know what? That's not who I am anymore. Boom, it's done. It's dissolved. Clear the cache, it's done. But if you are having an issue with that, then you need to do the repetition. If you're unable to like delete browsing data entirely in one shot, then you're gonna keep going, keep going, keep going. And pretty soon it's just gonna dissolve automatically on its own because you keep typing in a command that contradicts what was already going on. And then the browser history is gonna look at recent search history. If all you've been saying in your relationship sector that you only attract healthy, loving relationships, the avoidant attachment story is fucking gone. Where to go? It's like, it's nowhere to be found because you've been giving it the opposite input, okay? So that's how you fucking do it.